I'd like to thank the team of Ace Insurance Brokers for being a part of this very interesting segment. Very good afternoon to all of you and a very, very warm welcome to the Times Group presents ET Now Global Business Summit, co-powered by Google Bennett University. I'm Isha Bhalla and I am delighted to have all of you join us for this very interesting segment on embracing disruption, navigating the future of business. As we take conversations ahead, we have the best minds from a very, very diverse industries right here. May I have all of you please put your hands together for our fantastic moderator. We have Ms. Minita Kumar, Director, Corporate Communications, Fidelity International here with us. And may I introduce to you our speakers. It's such a pleasure to have with us Mr. Ashish Yepol, Vice President, ITC. Let's hear a round of applause as we welcome him. I'd like to thank Mr. Kalyan Chakrabarti, CEO, MR. A round of applause. May I also present to you Mr. Anand Swaroop, Group CFO, JBM Group. I'd like to thank Jubin Pardiwala, Insurance Head, Gojojan Boys. May I request all of you all to please identify yourselves as well as we introduce you. I'd like to thank Mr. Naveen Jain, owner, NTF Group, for being here. Thank you so very much. May I thank Mr. Yogesh Sareen, Group CFO, Max Healthcare. I'd like to introduce Mr. Vivek Anand, CFO, Hero Motocorp Limited. We also have with us Mr. Jimmy Gopal Krishnan, Global Head Insurance and Risk Management, Airtel. Thank you for your presence. May I introduce to you Mr. Anuj Jain, Director, Finance, Indian Oil. He's going to join us in just a bit. May I introduce to you Mr. Pramod Arora, CEO, Growth and Investment, PVR Cinemas. Thank you for your presence, sir. I'd like to welcome Mr. Puneet Rukheja, CFO, DLF Limited. Thank you so very much for joining us. May I present to you Dr. Akash Paul, Chairman, Caparo India. Let's hear a round of applause. We have with us Azizdi Sabawala, Global Insurance Head, Gojojan Boys. Thank you so very much, sir. Pleasure having you here. May I introduce Mr. B. Srinivas, Director, Megha Engineering, joining us shortly. May I introduce Mr. Rakesh Thawan, Global Insurance Head, Uflex Limited. Do we have... Okay, about to join in. I would like to present a very warm welcome to Mr. Srinivas M, Head Insurance, Lal GMR. Thank you so very much for being here, sir. Mr. Ankur Khatri, Head Insurance, ACME Solar Holdings. A round of applause there. Mr. Ankit Goyal, Director, AAA, Insolvency Professionals. Thank you so very much. May I also introduce to you Ms. Namrata Sondi, Risk and Insurance Manager, India and South Asia, Uber. Thank you so very much for your presence. And may I now hand over to Ms. Kumar to take this discussion forward. All yours.
Thank you, Isha, for that wonderful introduction. I think we've got a really diverse round table here. It's wonderful to see, people coming from different industries. And I think the topic is something which is relevant to all of us, embracing disruptions, navigating the future of business. And I think during this course of whatever 40 minutes that we've left, it's going to be very interesting to hear from different sectors and make comparisons and see how common and diverse our viewpoints are around the future of business. And we all know the world that we are living in. There's a very different geopolitical scenario that's changing every day. Technology is moving at a pace that's almost like, every morning I wake up to a new news. The way the world works, the way you recruit, the kind of jobs that are going to emerge, that's changing a lot. Climate change is a very real thing that's happening, and the industry is changing with that. With so much happening around us, I think as leaders, every day we are looking at what else should we do to make business sustainable and grow. So we've got a couple of themes. I've got 3-4 themes that I want to talk about today. We've got 40 minutes. And I know every theme we'll not be able to cover everybody in the room. But it'll be great if you could raise your hand and introduce yourself quickly. I know we are all new in the room, but if you raise your hand and share your point of view, if you think that you have something substantial to add on the theme, and then we'll just sort of go around the room and take viewpoints. All right, with that, let's begin with the first question. in your view and in your industry, what do you think are the most significant disruptions impacting, and how are you addressing them? Anybody who wants to take the lead on this? Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, all. Um, I handle corporate finance, banking, treasury, and insurance at Origin Voice. So, liquidity management is the biggest challenge, and every day the news which comes from the market, whether it is impacting oil, whether it is impacting geopolitical situation or the rupee, it impacts my treasury cost. Yeah, but somewhere this concept of sustainability, I think if you have got your values right, if you have got your strategies in place, you are able to sail over all these disturbances. Yeah. So it is, you have to have a proper sustainable strategy in place, and then everything else gets taken. And it has to be value driven. Value and ethics are very important here. You lose out, uh, you might be winning for a short time, but but that winning won't give you permanent gains. Yeah.
Great.
That is my short submission. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yep.
So, just to add what Sir just started with, so when we talk of disruptions, I think if we are talking about the insurance industry per se, I would say recently a product known as surety bonds has recently come into the market. What Sir was addressing was that, okay, all the treasury costs, the availability of funds, you largely depends on how efficiently you're using your funds. So surety bond, I think, has been one of the disruptors in the industry. As far as the insurance companies are concerned, of course they currently have slightly lower set of capacities issuing those surety bonds. But eventually, if I have to talk about the industry where I belong to, the renewable industry, usually the corporates do not have such collaterals available at the holdcos, wherein they are not able to secure some bank limits. So these products, surety bonds, which we say are disruptive in the market, which eventually are, so to say, are helping the entire industry to grow more. And now more and more off-takers are also very much willing to accept these surety bonds as part of their EMDs and PPGs. So I would say on the treasury and the insurance cost only. So that would be one of the disruptors which we currently see. Thank you.
Any viewpoint from another industry?
I'll take it up for the telecom industry. Uh, I think we are one of those industries where the technology becomes obsolete even before the life cycle of an asset gets over. And therein, we are facing disruption every day in some form or the other. For us, on the asset front, we partnered with our OEMs to develop technology agnostic platforms, right? Uh, that takes care of risk to a certain extent. But where we see, when we see ourselves as the service providers, service of connecting people, connecting devices, we see this cyber risk which is emerging, right? And currently, the way insurance policies are drafted in India, um, it's just a collection of name peril policies. You might expand to a larger name peril policy. It's not really true blood all risk named exclusions policy. So I think somewhere we need to get into simplification of the products, with this denotification of tariffs that has come about, the denotification of wordings. Uh, I would urge upon the insurance broking fraternity and the whosoever is managing the insurance portfolio in respective companies to come forward and demand a scenario wherein um, we clearly lay out the simplification of the policy and a bit more of named exclusion policies, the way we find in more mature markets. I think that's where we need to head forward to.
May I add? May I add something to what Jimmy said? I 100% agree with him that the businesses cannot be run around the insurance policies, but the insurance policies can definitely be designed around the business the way it is done. And I think uh, there are products now available, and the insurance market has always been very supportive and always been very agile to the requirements. And I'm sure you will find answers to your problems. I can assure you that from our side.
I'll add on to what Jimmy said, sir, that see, we have got innovative disruptions coming into the market. They are a little late in the market, but they are coming in. But I think that the biggest disruption yet in the market is that we really do not have good disruption. It has to go much more aggressive into it, sir. Today you said, yes, businesses are not going to be wrapped around the policies, but our risk management is wrapped around our policies. And our policies is what kind of keeps us insured against some kind of an eventuality. So I think we need some more aggressive disruption yet in the market to take it more to a matured market, sir.
Any other viewpoints, or do you agree? What part of the room agrees that we need more disruptions? Disruptions are not good enough. A quick raise of hands.
I
Yeah,
think uh, there cannot be a way forward without any kind of a disruption. Let's start with the person who's sitting on the right side of me, PVR. Look at the way how they disrupted the entire market. MR, look at the properties by which they came up. Acme Solar, the way they came out with solar energy. Uber, the biggest example of how they disrupted the way we used to take our taxis. Airtel, I mean, so many people representing various companies who have been disruption leads in their own very segments. So I think what is disruption is just basically innovating, because when they started their own businesses at whatever point of time, they were called disruption. That was disruptive. Yeah. But they had to innovate over a period of time, and people who could not, I think they basically could not move forward. So I basically feel it, disruption is nothing but innovation, which we have to keep doing all the time.
No, he rightly suggested, I would not be able to say much about insurance, and I would be naive to basically comment much on the insurance side. But from a business perspective, I'm sure all of us understand the VUCA word. VUCA is, you're living in a volatile, uncertain, it's complex, it's ambiguous. So that's the VUCA word which we live in, and disruption is a table stake out there. So it's not about more or less disruption, it's about disruption is a way of life. So that disruption only does lead to innovation, as you rightly suggested. So what's really happening, just let me take a very inane example, which is very close to all of you from your daily lives. All of you end up watching OTT, which is one of our, when we look at it, oh, it's disrupted the industry, the cinema industry, that we've built so many infrastructure around the country, wherein, we have a large footprint in the country, and perhaps we would have grown outside the country also as well. But OTT came in and disrupted the market. Now, there are two ways to look at it. One, you could look at the concept of collaboration and coexistence. The other is go on thinking about as competition. Now, in a business world, uh, ego is something which basically lets businesses and people go down very rapidly, very quickly. The word of coexistence and collaboration has been better imbibed by the Gen Z and millennials, and imbibing them into the corporate world, getting their viewpoint, getting the fresh talent out there, which has the intellectual prowess, wherein culture eats strategy for breakfast. So, you getting those people imbibed into your businesses and ensuring that they come out with something wherein coexistence and collaboration is the buzzword would perhaps mean an agile organization. I'm not suggesting it's mine or yours or any organization, but many of the organizations who have imbibed this coexistence and collaboration as their theme, and wherein young minds are coming onto the table, they are actually being able to take the benefit of disruption to their businesses, making them grow in directions which were not thought of by people before. So many of us sitting across this table or in this conference all across the world have basically been able to take the benefit of disruption to their business and bring about a meaningful change. Uber happens to be one example. Without really owning a car, they actually own the mobility of the country.
Thanks. I think that those are wonderful points and
Sorry, I'll
talks.
just
Yeah, go
add
ahead.
on because Uber has been spoken twice. Yes, actually, Uber got its birth from the disruption only. See, we have been thriving on the businesses. Once disruption is there, there we came. And it has not only been a problem, but it has been an reinvention of new things which can be there in the market. We have been benefited to the customers, to the employees, to the thought process. And I think by all this disruption, a new reinvention comes in the picture. That is how you reinvent and come up with new ideas and which starts up. So we always say Uber is a company which has come up with a disruption model wherein we thought, okay, let's start everything afresh. So that's
Thanks for that. Now, shifting gears to two things. One that you said, consumers, the Gen Z, the upcoming generation, in the workforce and as consumers, and technology. Can I hear the sentiment in the room as to how you're thinking about these two things, technology and the way Gen AI and everything is moving, and the new consumers and employees? What are the two, three things that are top of mind for you across these two things? Anyone?
See, the technology is changing at a pace which is, breathtaking, I would say. We've seen the transformations in disruptive models, but the way the technology is changing, from 4G to 5G, it was not a 10% increase in the speed, it was probably 100 times over, right? And the next 6G could be not 100 times over, maybe 1,000 times more speed. So you can imagine where the things would be, and once these basic infrastructure is moving at a pace, there would be options on disrupting the businesses as well. Without internet, Uber would not have taken birth, right? Without development of electric cars, the way batteries are improving, they're changing the way things operate. So I guess it's a matter of time when the technology moves the other innovation. It promotes other innovations as well. And I was reading a book which my partner Raj had gifted it to me. A book is called "Future is Faster Than You Think," and it's really worthwhile reading that. The way things are changing, it's almost scary, I would say. And for the next generation, it's a thing taken for granted. They've seen only this world, and we've seen, from telexes and faxes to this world. And but yes, we've not been mere spectators. I think we've been active participants, and none of the businesses today probably move without technology or disruption or newer technology.
We have somebody here from the who write the intelligence for the drones. He's like,
Yes, of course. I'm Kamal from Campbell Systems. Actually, we are the company who deals in drones and all. So, especially, I'm basically a simulator guy. I deals with the aviation simulators and all. And then one final day, I decide to enter in drone sectors and all. So 11 years back when we start this journey, so we are thinking more of defense, videographies and all. Now this is the time. So in this 11 years of time frame, we catered every single, application, just like agriculture, infrastructure, e-mobilities. You name the sectors we are serving right now in India, as well as now moving towards the metaverse and linking other specialties like 5G in our drones. Like we are all set to settle out the logistic systems with our drones. We are crossly working with different industries to make some special applications and all. So the of course the technology is going to change the life like anything. And every single day the new application, new problems is coming in and we are solving it.
Any other viewpoints on what are the two conversations around consumers and technology in your boardrooms?
On this disruption, like everybody would have heard कि समुद्र मंथन के बाद अमृत निकलता है. So every disruption should give elixir. But one classic disruption which has failed about maybe 30 years back was Concord. It was a big, at that time this this word was just not there, not in existence, disruption.
It's coming back, by the way.
But, so at that time it failed. Why? Because of maybe at that time even that climate change was just nowhere on the drawing board. It was disturbing the ozone layer. But currently that awareness is there. But it failed. Maybe it might be coming back in a new avatar. But
You spoke about technology, the Gen AI. These are great buzzwords. So एक रे डालियो की किताब है Principles. It's worth a read. If any of you gets the time, have a read around that. It talks about how technology has been abused in many boardrooms. That's what it talks about. See, technology has to be an enabler. It cannot be in a main line of a business. Let's say someone is basically into the business of making soaps. Technology can be an enabler for him. It gets spoken most of the times than not as a business itself, and higher than the main line of business. It would be pertinent that it would, perhaps or most likely end up failing the company in its main business. Unless you think about a use case and end up using technology to the benefit, it would not really work. Whether it is Gen AI, whether it is, an augmented reality or a virtual reality, all these, unless you have a use case. So it's like suggesting अगर आप, शुरू के businesses में देखें तो बहुत सारे लोगों ने अपने यहाँ पे Lotus 123 एक tool होता था which used to be a predecessor of Excel, Microsoft Excel. So I have seen people मुंशी जी जो है अपनी शीट लेके बैठते थे, फिर वो जो है पहले जो है उसके ऊपर Lotus 123 के ऊपर कैलकुलेट करते थे, फिर उसके बाद अपने कैलकुलेटर पे बैठ के करते थे कि ये ठीक भी दिया है इसने नहीं दिया. And still it happens in many businesses wherein they have an Excel instead of using a VB, which is Visual Basic, or basically having an AI tool embedded into Excel. The Munshi ji is still doing it manually. Now there, you are basically just not using technology to the benefit. In fact, you're abusing the technology. So many of the businesses, especially the ones which are from the older times, have to imbibe and then go for technology. Otherwise, you will end up using technology as an additional cost, and which is going to increase another literal multiple number of costs for you without really bringing in any much benefit to the business.
Absolutely. Technology as an enabler and not for the reason, is the reason for its existence. And I think
The enabler of disruption has been technology, for that matter. Because ultimately, why as a innovation, we were just talking about disruption, and this disruption has been made because there has been a lot of technology. Now AI is coming up. Now that's another hit on this. So you're seeing we are going to a different level. You need not do anything, people understand, I don't know, people were going and taking bath in Ganga without anybody being present there. Imagine the technology is making you available where you are not even there. So that's what your innovation is coming up. That's what your disruption is going to a second level, of technology to AI and all that.
while we are at Uber, I would like to ask you, how is it that you are thinking about the new consumer? And how are you thinking about business being disrupted for the new consumer?
See, when you talk about new consumers, yes, we are moving like the other worlds, and technology is a in thing for us. We call ourselves a a company which is completely into tech and all that. We have to change. You may say again, Uber has come up with something new which is coming up, but that's what disruption that is for. That's what new intelligence that is coming up. You will find a lot of new innovations coming up in this. You had not thought that you are booking up Uber. On Uber, you are booking up a shikara going to Kashmir. So that's what the things are happening. So you will find the new customers, the new thought process of Uber is also changing with the with the technology when it comes up. Yes, there are customers are also changing. Earlier they were adults, now kids are booking. Now even old people who don't know even how to use phones can now book their Uber and they can travel. So Uber is something which is bringing more and more customers, new customers, and changing their thought process. With the customers, even Uber is learning how we can make it more enabler for them.
Somebody mentioned collaboration in the room, and I think that's such an important word. Um, I think I'd also like to hear from some of the other people in the room to talk a little bit about how are you thinking about collaborating with the industry per se, and internally maybe also collaborating for a disruptive business. I'll give you my example. In Fidelity International, we've got a few, country level initiatives that we run. And two out of the five initiatives, which are very strategically important for the success of our business, are based on collaboration. How do we collaborate internally to ensure that we are ahead of the game? And how do we collaborate externally with with businesses and the industry per se? So given that there is, so much, and somebody mentioned it here as well, how is the room thinking? How are your businesses thinking about collaboration for a disruptive business?
So I think, am I audible? Is it working? Okay. I represent an industry which is close to about 12,000 years old, real estate. From the mankind when it stopped being a hunter-gatherer and started settling down into little colonies, real estate has been in existence. And it has been pretty disruptive from the beginning. I can almost assure you without being there for major part of that 12,000 years physically. There is this economic aspect which is always cyclical for us and it keeps going up and down. Then there is this consumer aspect which is probably the biggest disruptor. The consumer keeps changing its expectations from time to time, from generation to generations, from decade to decade, from cycle to cycle. What is acceptable before corona is not acceptable after corona. What is acceptable to somebody who is earning a crore rupees is not acceptable the moment he earns 1 crore 20 lakh rupees. It changes with your income going up by 20%, 15% also. Your mindset changes, your expectations change when you have a kid, when you become a when you have a grandkid, for example. And as a result, what you consume from us in the form of a house or in the form of an office space changes from person to person. And the same house may not appeal to you, it may appeal to the person next door. Same office which is very boring to, let's say, somebody to your left may be extremely exciting to somebody to the right. So this consumer perception of the product and the consumer perception of the experience to us is the biggest disruptor. We have still not figured what is the best way to manage. We try our best on a day-to-day basis to try to make it happen. But to a small extent, probably technology can play a role. It helps us in making sure that we understand a consumer expectation or a consumer experience faster. The voice of the customer comes to us faster. We can process this better in millions of data points also we can now process as opposed to doing it in a smaller set. But the core stays the same. Make your customer happy, keep him or her at the center, and keep your ears and eyes open to what's happening around you. Otherwise, there are enough and more uncontrollables out there. Geopolitical risks are there. Supply chains go for a toss all the time, or steel can go very expensive one day to extremely not even available one day, or prices can drop one day, right? So those kind of things happen. In our case, we are highly regulated, and we stitch together multiple different industry to form one industry. Labor, for example, labor force or bylaws in different states, it changes all the time. So you need to be agile. You don't have a choice. You need to be alert to the environment, but you need to know what are your core 2 or 3 values and what is the core of existence for you, and just stick to it. There is no simple answer to it.
I think Kalyanji touched upon a very important point of industries getting to realize what their core competencies are, specializing in those, and at the same time explore opportunities in encashing upon the adjacencies, right? Uh, he spoke about data becoming important, and so companies like us, we have more than 2,000 markers, on consumer behavior, right? So, what might appeal to a certain age group or might not appeal to another age group, right? And all of this is reflected in some way or the other in the way the consumer behaves on internet, on social media, right? So these markers have enabled faster decision making, right? And I think that's where we need to collaborate, each one building upon their core competency and specialty, and explore, how to leverage on the adjacencies.
If I can just add a few on the basic thing, necessity is the mother of invention. So the entire requirements are the reason why the solutions are found. So people are pushed to get solutions for the problems, and that's where you generate and evolve. Probably in the last 30, 35 years that I've been in insurance industry, we started with a property-centric organizations or insurance to now a liability-centric thing. And probably we are even getting more into more specific problems like cyber and probably drones and things like that. So you're getting more and more specific. As your requirements change, so your products also will change. So that is the most important thing one has to understand, that you know the requirements are, as the person gets the pinch of it, that's where the solution has to be found to ensure that there is a solace that comes for that particular problem. That's how I would like to look at it.
So I will also want to add few things on the collaboration per se. You are rightly said, collaboration is not only important from the macro angle from the outside, it's an internal micro both. So, business disruption, you mentioned about that for a real estate per se. We had in the 2016, 2017, there are the few laws has been introduced by the GST, RERA, but because of that, we become more compliant and more customer centric. So I think so we worked in such a way, you converted those challenges into an opportunity. Now those opportunities now turning on the ground. So that's what and internally the now the challenge is the internal. What is the internal challenge? So we are expanding so rapidly, so we don't have that much force to work with us, to work as per our commitment. So those are the challenge. We are not able to find those contractor which can work and in longer term to us. So those are the challenge, but we will overcome to that, I am very sure. So we are working very hard for that, because right now the pan India infra is moving very fast, and we are also rapidly growing because industry is supporting to us. So now we are not only the predicting, we are now committed to build, convert those challenges into our opportunity. So that's the way, it is good for all of us to have, challenges which will be, coming. I think this will make us more compliant, more customer centric, and that's the way, we can convert those challenges into our opportunity. And I think that's what I want to add. Everybody has added enough. So thank you so much.
Actually, one of the very good points which came in was the process of evolution. That's how evolutions happen. Once you have a problem or a challenge, it gets converted to an opportunity. India की एक parallel problem है. That problem is that you have many of the companies have already found solutions for the problems that don't exist. Then the whole time goes in finding the problem to a solution which has already been found. Now that's one of the major problems that is there.
So true. In fact, one of the conversations we have is how do we simplify things? And I think somebody alluded to that as well, and not solve problems that don't exist. And I think you touched on a very interesting point. You said that we are expanding rapidly. We're looking for people, and I think companies always want the labor in the market to be of the right skill. And on the other hand, there is that fear in the market, right? Will the jobs be taken away? And I know that for us, I think
The difference is, very
yeah.
much, I will say, so the difference is skilled and unskilled labor. So I think if we are able to break that, with the support of the government, or, some big initiative has to be into place, I think we can bridge the employment gap, I think.
Yes, yes. And in fact, I'll just share that a lot of these, and I'm speaking to a lot of my HR friends and all as well, that job descriptions are being rewritten to incorporate AI skills, I would like to ask this room, how are you thinking about your future workforce? To be able to enable a future that you want to see in another 5 years. Anyone?
I think it seems like a universal problem today to have skilled manpower. Though, what Amita also mentioned, that, there's always a fear that, jobs will be taken away. Now, if you look at our experience, how many jobs has Uber created? How many jobs have Zomato's of the world or Swiggy's of the world created? I think they've created more jobs than probably the jobs taken away. Yes, it does require upskilling, and that's probably, I think, is the biggest challenge apart from use and adopting of technology. So that's something I think we'll all have to work on. Uh, and I don't think we need to really fear much.
I think it is a big opportunity if somebody wants to start a startup on that, who can convert an unskilled to the skilled. It's a big opportunity, I think, lying ahead.
But it's actually very right what he suggested, because एक solution आ गया है AI. Now you're finding a problem, jobs तो जाएं. अब उसके लिए इतना time लग रहा है, अब jobs जाएंगी, जब जाएंगी. What he's saying is you'll have multiple more businesses which will end up creating jobs, because around this, the adjacencies that lie around AI, there are multiple adjacencies that lie in and around AI which are going to make this word as a more optimized, more superior word to live in, and people are going to consume those goods and services. But now the angular way to look at it is that now AI has come in, it's a solution which has already been found. The problem that it's going to create is it's going to make the jobs lose. Now many people are just working around that वो problem ढूंढने जाओ कहाँ jobs कहाँ lose हो रही हैं, and that's taking a lot of time.
See, I think AI would really act as a tool for upskilling people. I look at it, very positively on that side. It has a solution for upskilling people.
You want to work 4 days in a week. You want to have a very balanced life. All these tools are going to enable this, a better life.
No, but the thought that AI is going to take away jobs, actually, I don't know how far it will be true, because at the end of the day, what does AI need? It needs an input of the output that it has to give. Somebody needs to take the output and see whether the output is right. And at the same time, I mean, there is another vertical that can just come up because of AI. It's called prompt generators, prompt engineering. As you very rightly said, solution has come. Now we're trying to figure out a problem which is actually not there. In fact, the solution is giving us more solutions.
See, I can just use the word sweet and sour for this. I'm just giving a small example. There was a legal case which my daughter was talking, and my husband just gave her, just make a synopsis of this and give me what is a summary. You would like to, defend it or this. In half an hour's time, she had come up with all those 10, 15 pages, and she come up with her report. Now we were surprised, and it was a very good report. Can you imagine? She went to Chat GPT and she just put in there. Now, why I said sweet and sour, I don't know. We should be happy about it that she did not apply it, but she applied her mind. But then she knew where she has to go, where she can pick up the information, and what she can bring in. So, as he rightly said, we have to live with it, but then we will have to say how we will be living with this kind of a innovation. Again, I say, unless you have a disruption, unless you have a technology, unless you have an AI, you will not move to the next pedestal. So this is we are going another stage up wherein new things would be coming up, wherein we'll have to cater to those.
I think we've got finance heads and CEOs in the room. And another point that AI throws up, and I've been reading so much about it. In fact, we are also bearing the brunt of it. Is scams. Scams that are on the increase massively, of scams of different types. And like you said, it's going to create a bigger industry of how do you manage scams, how do you stay away from scams, right? So AI is going to create, and to your point, I think it's not going to take jobs away if you skill yourself. If you don't skill of yourself, then they would. So how are you thinking about the threat of scams? And we've seen that news where the CEO was taken, had just transferred millions of dollars, for a deep fake that he saw, right? So how are your businesses thinking about scams and the potential that AI can, potential of risk that it poses to businesses?
Honestly speaking, I think all the scams what we all talk and listen about, they are just nothing but giving a boom to your cyber insurances. So eventually, so, so at the end of the day, what you'll do is each and every company, whosoever is taking cyber insurances or not, they'll be thriving more towards taking all those coverages in their kitty so that they are self-insured. So that was my take on it.
150 साल पहले, if people were born 150 years back, then you would be talking about, अरे, वो जो चार पहिए लगे होते हैं उसमें चाबी लगा दो तो वो चलने लगती है, उसमें तो बहुत एक्सीडेंट होते हैं. हम तो उस पे पेडल वाली पे खुश थे, दो ही पहिए थे.
But today, tell me which technology hasn't come with its disadvantages. It's how well can you adapt to the nuances of the technology? How well can you try and educate yourself and the public in general, and especially our employees, as to what to believe in and what not to believe in. See, every technology will come. Tomorrow, new technology come, that is also going to be misused. I mean, we need to understand and educate our people as to how not to fall for it.
One small point I would like to just make. 20 years back when computers came, people all were worried about it. Nothing happened. Everybody continued and everybody maybe upskilled a little bit, that there was no impact whatsoever. Similar is the case with airport. We are more pessimistic or worried about things which we don't need to worry as much as the people think around. That's how I would like to put it.
So I'm Ankit
You
Goyal.
remember we were very young. There was a one, I don't know who has experienced this. I think a lot of people has experienced. There was a one serial at the Doordarshan Star Trek. So that was, they will, they will transmit the person from the, from the, you. So that was the just see the imagination 50 year ago. You might have seen that. So I think.
But sir, Star Trek has been credited as the mother of quite a few inventions, technologic inventions.
So I think technology is a disruptor, and I believe I'm maybe one of the younger ones here. And I would say that even in my lifetime, I have seen so much change in the technology, and others who are sitting here would have seen much more. And it's going to happen anyways, whether you like it or not. AI is here, no doubt about it. Maybe some of the jobs that were there can be stolen by AI. Some CEO who wanted to get some job done from a human being, maybe he can get his job done from the AI, and he can choose not to employ that person. But at the same time, like when we talk about what we do at AAA, we kind of transform businesses. We are into insolvency valuation. And we see that wherever businesses have not been able to transform themselves, not able to adapt to technology, not able to kind of internally, I would say, collaborate or externally collaborate to live in the environment, they have the disease eventually. And we see that there are other people in the market who are able to use the same assets and same human beings and same assets to create something new and something which is useful. And I believe that evolution keeps happening. That's the beauty of disruption, or that's the beauty of change.
In my head, I call it capitalism at its best.
So जब तक ऐसी meetings में robots, मतलब instead of humans, robots are attending the meeting, then you know that you have a trouble out there. And today you get to know that I is greater than AI, which effectively means that intelligence would always be greater than artificial intelligence. The day it's in the other direction, then you have a problem. Till that time, you do not have a problem. Robots attending the meeting, and I is greater than AI. Till that time, there is no problem.
I will always be greater than I. It's all about that robot is sitting here. Maybe somebody is already guiding or programming that robot. So, you just change the nature of employment, but somebody will be
So,
looking at it.
man and women are social animals. वो जो 201 हड्डियां हैं वो नहीं बन पाई ना अभी तक, तो अदरवाइज तो क्लोनिंग हो गई होती, क्लोनिंग तो नहीं हो पाई.
So recently I was reading on AI. While I do believe that AI is a potential energy which will lead to enormous amount of positive outcomes, in my opinion, and jobs is the least of the ones which I am worried about at this stage. Two possibilities which I read which made me get excited about AI and said, bless AI, let it be doing things faster and more. One, it said that in about 25 to 30 years, you may not need to eat food to survive, because AI will come up with some permutation combination बिना खा के आप जिंदा रह सकते हो. And second, it said AI, because of the technological advance and all, will come up with an algorithm by which death will become optional. So if you don't need to eat food and you need to decide when you can die, or if at all you die, then I think I welcome it.
Great. With that eventual sentence, I think we'll close the discussion today. I think we had some really interesting viewpoints come in. So thank you very much for taking out 1 hour from your busy schedules and being here with us. Any final words from you?
Parudu, thank you for conducting this so well, and I think it was really good to hear diverse viewpoints and very valid viewpoints.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much.